There is a hunger that gnaws at the heart of every human being, a hunger older than language, older than the first fire, older even than the memory of the world. It is the hunger for more time, for another dawn, for a way to outwit the slow, patient jaws of death. We are born with the knowledge that we will end, and from that knowledge, every story, every prayer, every desperate bargain with the darkness is born. What would you give if you could live forever? What would you risk if the price was only your soul? In the silent vaults of history, there are books that do not merely record the world they haunted. Among them, one stands alone, the Codex Gigas, the Devil's Bible, a book so vast it is said to have been written in a single night by a monk condemned to death, who bargained with the darkness for his life. Its pages are heavy with the weight of centuries, its ink a shadow that stains the soul. It promises knowledge, power, perhaps even a way to cheat death itself. But every hand that has held it has trembled, and every owner has met with ruin. Imagine the candlelit cell of a medieval monastery, the air thick with incense and fear. A monk, desperate and alone, faces the end. In his terror, he makes a pact one that will echo through the ages. The book he creates is not merely a manuscript, but a mirror of the human soul, its longing, its pride, its terror of oblivion. The Codex Gigas is a monument to our oldest dream and our deepest dread. But what? Is immortality, truly? Is it a blessing or a curse? To live forever is to watch the world decay, to see every love wither, every joy turn to ash. It is to become a ghost in your own life, haunted by memories that never fade, wounds that never heal. The promise of the book is a double-edged sword. It offers escape from death, but at the cost of everything that makes life precious. The reader becomes a prisoner of time, a shadow among the living, forever searching for meaning in a world that moves on without them. And yet, the temptation endures. Across centuries and continents, men and women have sought the Codex Gigas, risking madness, damnation, and worse. Some have found it, or claimed to. Their stories are warnings, written in blood and sorrow, echoing through the ages. They remind us that the greatest danger is not the book itself, but the hunger that drives us to seek it. For in the end, it is not death we fear, but the emptiness of a life unlived, the terror of being forgotten. Tonight, we open the pages of this legend. We descend into the labyrinth of myth and memory, following the trail of those who dared to seek immortality, paid the price. We will walk through ancient monasteries and war-torn castles, through the fevered dreams of kings and the nightmares of the damned. We will ask the questions that have haunted humanity since the dawn of time. What does it mean to live forever? What are we willing to sacrifice for one more heartbeat, one more breath? And when the final page is turned, will we find salvation or only the echo of our own fear? This is the story of the Codex Gigas, the book that promised immortality and cursed its readers. It is a story written in the shadows, in the spaces between hope and despair, between longing and loss. It is a story about us all. Long before the Codex Gigas was bound in its monstrous leather, before its pages were inked with the trembling hand of a desperate monk, the world already trembled before the idea of forbidden knowledge. In the ancient world, the written word was not merely a tool, it was a force, a living spirit, a bridge between the mortal and the divine. To write was to conjure, to summon, to bind, and to read what was not meant for mortal eyes was to risk the wrath of gods and the unraveling of the soul dot in the shadowed temples of Egypt. Priests whispered of the Book of Thoth, a text said to contain the secrets of the gods themselves. Thoth, the ibis-headed scribe, was the master of writing, the keeper of the balance between order and chaos. His book, it was said, could grant the reader mastery over the earth, the sky, and the underworld. But to read it was to invite disaster. The legend tells of a prince, Setnakamwas, who found the book and in his pride unleashed curses upon himself and his family. The Book of Thoth was hidden, lost, forbidden its knowledge too great, too dangerous for any human to bear dot in the cradle of Mesopotamia. The first libraries rose like ziggurats against the sky, their clay tablets pressed with the cuneiform of kings and priests. Here, too, knowledge was power in peril. The Epic of Gilgamesh, the oldest story ever written, is a tale of a king who seeks immortality, only to find that the gods have set a boundary no mortal may cross. The secret of eternal life is always just out of reach, guarded by monsters, storms, and the silence of the grave. To seek it is to defy the order of the cosmos, to risk becoming less than human. The Greeks, inheritors of these ancient fears, told of Prometheus, who stole fire from the gods and gave it to mankind. For this crime, he was chained to a rock, his liver devoured each day by an eagle. Fire was knowledge, and knowledge was a curse. In their mysteries and oracles, the Greeks warned that some truths were too terrible to know, some books too dangerous to open. The Sibylline Books, kept in the temple of Jupiter, were consulted only in times of dire crisis, for their prophecies could bring salvation or ruin. In every ancient culture, the written word was a double-edged sword. It could heal or destroy, bless or damn. The act of writing itself was sacred, a ritual that bound the writer to the fate of the words. In the Jewish tradition, the Kabbalists spoke of the Sefer Raziel, the Book of Secrets, said to have been given to Adam by the angel Raziel. It contained the mysteries of creation, the names of God, the keys to life and death. To misuse it was to invite catastrophe, to bring the floodwaters of chaos crashing down upon the world. The fear of forbidden books was not merely superstition. It was a recognition of the power of the mind, the danger of unrestrained desire. To seek what is hidden is to risk being consumed by it. The ancient world understood that knowledge is never neutral. It is always a bargain, a pact, a risk. The book that promises immortality is always, in some sense, a curse. And so, when the Codex Gigas was born in the darkness of a Bohemian monastery, it was not an anomaly, but the latest chapter in a story as old as civilization itself. Its legend grew from the fertile soil of these ancient fears, the terror of forbidden knowledge, the longing for eternal life, the price of pride. The monk who wrote it, so the story goes, was condemned for a terrible crime. Facing death, he promised to create a book that would contain all human knowledge, a book so magnificent it would redeem him in the eyes of God. But as midnight approached, he realized the task was impossible. In his despair, he made a pact not with God, but with the devil. The Codex Gigas became a vessel for all the world's anxieties about knowledge and power. Its pages contain the entire Latin Bible, but also medical treatises, exorcisms, and forbidden histories. Most chilling of all is the full-page portrait of the devil, staring out with cold, inhuman eyes, a reminder of the price that must be paid for forbidden wisdom. The book is both a promise and a warning. To seek immortality is to risk damnation. In the centuries that followed, the Codex Gigas would pass from hand to hand, leaving a trail of disaster in its wake. Monasteries that housed it burned. Kings who coveted it fell. Armies that seized it were destroyed. The book became a symbol of the ancient truth that some knowledge is too heavy for the human soul to bear. The hunger for immortality, the longing to escape death, is a fire that can never be quenched. It consumes all who dare to feed it. And yet the legend endures. The Codex Gigas still exists, locked away in the National Library of Sweden, its secrets unread, its curse unbroken. It is a relic of a time when books were feared as much as they were revered, when the written word was a doorway to the unknown. It is a reminder that the oldest stories are never truly forgotten. They live on, in the shadows of our dreams, in the hunger that drives us to seek what should remain hidden across the world. The shadow of the forbidden book falls long and on deep. In every culture, there are stories of texts that promise more than wisdom books, that tempt the soul, that threaten the order of things, that carry a curse for those who dare to read. The Codex Gigas is not alone. Its legend is a single thread. In a vast, tangled tapestry of human longing and fear. In the East, the ancient Chinese spoke in hushed tones of the Book of Immortality. During the Qin and Han dynasties, emperors sent envoys across oceans and deserts, searching for scrolls that would grant eternal life. Alchemists toiled in secret, mixing mercury and jade, inscribing their secrets in cryptic tomes. The emperor, Qin Shi Huang, who unified China, was obsessed with these texts. He consumed their elixirs, read their forbidden words, and died not immortal, but poisoned his tomb, a silent testament to the dangers of seeking what the heavens have forbidden. The books he sought are lost, their recipes for immortality buried. With their readers, their curses echoing in the silence of the grave. In the Islamic world, the legend of the Kitab al-Azif, better known in the West as the Necronomicon, emerged from the shadows of medieval Arabia. Though the Necronomicon is a modern invention, its roots lie in real fears. The belief that certain books, written by madmen or jinn, could drive a reader insane or summon forces beyond human control. The Quran itself warns against seeking knowledge that is not meant for mankind, and throughout Islamic history, scholars debated the dangers of occult texts. The Shams al-Marif, a real and infamous grimoire, was said to bring madness and ruin to those who misused its secrets. Its pages, filled with invocations and forbidden names, were often hidden, burned, or locked away feared, as much as they were coveted. In the forests of West Africa, the griots and priests guarded their own secret texts, books of power, written in the blood of ancestors, hidden from the eyes of the uninitiated. The Yoruba spoke of the Adu Ifa, a sacred corpus of verses and divination, said to contain the wisdom of the gods. To misuse these verses, to read them without proper ritual, was to invite disaster. The knowledge was not for everyone. It was a living force, demanding respect, punishing pride. In these traditions, the book is not just a physical object, but a spirit, a presence that can bless or curse, depending on the heart of the reader. Among the peoples of the Americas, the Maya and the Aztec kept codices, folded books of bark and skin, painted with the secrets of the cosmos. When the Spanish arrived, they saw these books as works of the devil and burned them by the thousands. Only a handful survived, and those that did were said to bring misfortune to their possessors. The Dresden Codex, one of the few remaining, was nearly lost in the fires of war and conquest. Its pages, filled with prophecies and rituals, are haunted by the memory of a civilization destroyed, its knowledge silenced by fear. Even in the cold north, the Norse spoke of the run natal, the song of runes carved into stone and bone. Odin himself, the god of wisdom, hung for 9 nights on the world tree to gain the knowledge of the runes. But this knowledge came at a price: pain, sacrifice, the loss of self. The runes were not merely letters, but living forces, capable of healing or cursing, depending on the will of the reader. To misuse them was to risk madness, to invite the wrath of the gods. In every culture, the pattern repeats: the book that promises too much, the knowledge that comes at too high a price. The fear is not of the book itself, but of what it awakens. In us the hunger for power, the longing to escape the limits of flesh and time. The Codex Gigas, the Book of Thoth, the Shams al-Marif, the Odu Ifa, the Dresden Codex, all are mirrors, reflecting the same ancient truth. We are drawn to the forbiddens, even as we fear it. We seek immortality, even as we know it will destroy us. And so, the legend of the cursed book is not just a story of the past. It is a living myth, woven into the fabric of every culture, every age. It is the shadow that falls across the page, the chill that runs down the spine when we read words not meant for us. It is the price we pay for wanting more than we are given, for daring to open the book that should remain closed. In the heart of medieval Bohemia, in the early years of the 13th century, the Benedictine monastery of Padlavas stood as a lonely outpost against the encroaching wilds. It was here, in a cell thick with the scent of old parchment and candle wax, that the Codex Gigas was born. The story, preserved in the whispers of monks and the margins of chronicles, is as much a confession as a warning. The scribe was a monk named Herman, condemned for a crime so grave that his name was nearly erased from the records of the living. Facing execution, he begged for mercy, promising to create in a single night a book that would glorify the monastery and redeem his soul. As midnight deepened and the task proved impossible, legend says he turned to the only power left to him. In desperation, he invoked the devil, offering his soul in exchange for the completion of the book. By dawn, the Codex Gigas was finished, its pages vast, its words flawless, its secrets sealed with a pact written in fear and longing. The book itself is a marvel and a terror. Weighing over 165 pounds, nearly 3 feet tall, it is the largest surviving medieval manuscript in the world. Its pages contain the entire Latin Bible, but also medical treatises, exorcisms, and histories. Most chilling of all is the full-page portrait of the devil, alone and immense, staring out with a gaze that seems to follow the reader through the centuries. No other Bible in Christendom dares such a thing. The image is a wound in the fabric. Of the sacred, a reminder that the book's creation was not a miracle, but a bargain. The monastery that housed the Codex Gigas did not prosper. Within decades, Padlavas was destroyed in war, its monks scattered, its treasures lost. The Codex survived, passing into the hands of the Cistercians at Sedlik, then to the Benedictines at Brevnov. Each new home brought new misfortune. Fires broke out, plagues swept through the cloisters, and the book's keepers whispered that it was cursed. Some said the devil's portrait was to blame, that his presence in the heart of the holy text had poisoned the air, inviting disaster. In 1594, the Codex Gigas was moved to the Royal Library of Prague, under the watchful eye of Emperor Rudolf II. Rudolf was a man obsessed with the occult, a collector of alchemical texts and forbidden knowledge. He believed the Codex held secrets that could grant him power, perhaps even immortality. But his reign was marked by madness and decline. The empire crumbled around him, and Rudolf died alone. His dreams of glory turned to dust. The book remained, untouched, its curse unbroken. The 30 Years' War swept across Europe like a plague of fire and steel. In 1648, as Swedish troops stormed Prague, the Codex Gigas was seized as war booty and carried north. The journey was a trail of ruined soldiers who handled the book fell ill, ships that carried it were wrecked, and the Swedish royal family who claimed it soon faced their own tragedies. Queen Christina, who prized the Codex above all her treasures, abdicated her throne and fled the country, her life unraveling in scandal and exile. The Codex Gigas found its final home in the Royal Library of Sweden, where it remains to this day. But even here, its presence is uneasy. In 1697, a great fire swept through the royal castle, destroying much of the library. The Codex was saved, but only just thrown from a window by a desperate librarian. It landed in the mud, its pages stained, but intact. Some say the book cannot be destroyed, that it brings disaster to any who try. Others whisper that the devil still watches from its pages, waiting for the next soul bold enough to seek its secrets. Throughout its history, the Codex Gigas has been more than a book. It has been a witness to the rise and fall of empires, a silent participant in the tragedies of kings and monks, a relic that carries the weight of every hand that has touched. Its curse is not a matter of superstition, but of history, a pattern of ruin that follows wherever it goes. The disasters that have marked its journey are real, recorded in the annals of Europe. Their scars still visible in the ruins of monasteries and the ashes of libraries. Yet the book endures, its secrets unread, its curse unbroken. Scholars have pored over its pages, searching for the source of its power. Some point to the exorcisms and incantations hidden among the Psalms, others to the strange medical recipes, still others to the portrait of the devil himself. But the true curse of the Codex Gigas may be simpler and more profound. It is the curse of forbidden knowledge, the hunger to know what should not be known, to possess what cannot be possessed. The Codex Gigas is a mirror, reflecting the fate of all who seek immortality through power, through knowledge, through bargains with the darkness. Its story is not just the story of a book, but of every soul who has ever longed to escape the limits of flesh and time. The disasters that follow it are not the work of demons, but of human pride, the belief that we can outwit death, that we can hold eternity in our hands. And so, the Codex Gigas remains a monument to the dangers of desire, a relic of a world that still trembles before the unknown. Its pages are heavy with the weight of centuries, its ink a shadow that stains the soul. It is a warning, written in the language of disaster, that some books are better left unread, some secrets better left unspoken. As the world turned from the shadows of the Middle Ages toward the cold, clear light of reason, the Codex Gigas found itself under a new kind of scrutiny. The Enlightenment, with its faith in logic and the senses, sought to banish the old ghosts. The age of miracles was ending. The age of measurement had begun. Yet even as the candle of superstition guttered, the book's presence remained a riddle, a relic, a challenge to the new order. Scholars and skeptics, armed with magnifying glasses and the tools of paleography, began to unravel the Codex Gigas. They measured the parchment, counted the lines, analyzed the ink. They found, to their astonishment, that the entire manuscript was written in a single steady hand, page after page, year after year, with no sign of aging or fatigue. The legend of a book written in one night by a monk possessed seemed, at last, to yield to the slow, patient work of a single human life. The devil, it seemed, had been replaced by discipline and obsession, yet the rational mind could not explain everything. The portrait of the devil, so out of place in a Bible, remained a puzzle. Some said it was a warning, a reminder of the dangers of pride. Others saw it as a relic of medieval psychology, a way to make the invisible visible, to give form to the fears that haunted the scriptorium. The exorcisms and incantations, once whispered in terror, were now catalogued as examples of folk medicine and early psychiatry. The curse, it seemed, was nothing more than coincidence, a pattern imposed by anxious minds on the chaos of history. But the Enlightenment, for all its clarity, could not banish the darkness entirely. The Codex Gigas, like all things that dwell at the edge of reason, resisted easy explanation. The disasters that followed it, fires, wars, madness, were dismissed as chance. Yet the pattern lingered, a shadow at the edge of the rational world. The book became an object of curiosity, a specimen to be dissected, but never fully understood. In the new language of science, the hunger for immortality was recast as a psychological drive, a symptom of the human condition, the desire to possess. Forbidden knowledge was no longer a sin, but a neurosis, a longing for control in a world ruled by chance and death. The Codex Gigas was stripped of its magic, but not its mystery. It became a case study, a mirror in which the rational mind could glimpse its own limits. Some, like the early psychiatrists, saw in the legend of the cursed book a metaphor for obsession and compulsion. The monk who wrote the Codex Gigas, they argued, was not damned, but driven his pact with the devil, a symbol of the price paid for genius, for the relentless pursuit of perfection. The curse was not supernatural, but psychological. The cost of seeking what should not be sought, of sacrificing everything for a dream that can never be fulfilled. Others, in the spirit of the new anthropology, saw the legend as a social tool, way for communities to police the boundaries of knowledge, to warn against the dangers of pride and ambition. The curse was a story, a myth, a means of control. The book itself was innocent. The danger lay in the human heart. Yet for all their explanations, the rationalists could not erase the unease that clings to the Codex Gigas. The book remains, heavy and silent, its secrets intact. The Enlightenment stripped away the trappings of magic, but left the core untouched. The fear that some knowledge is too great, too dangerous, too costly to pursue. The Codex Gigas is a relic not just of superstition, but of the eternal tension between curiosity and caution, between the hunger for truth and the terror of what that truth might reveal. In the end, the scientific mind could not destroy the legend. It could only transform it. The Codex Gigas became a symbol not of the supernatural, but of the limits of reason, the boundaries of the knowable. It is a reminder that even in the age of light, there are shadows that cannot be dispelled, mysteries that cannot be solved, questions that cannot be answered. And so, the book endures, its curse recast in the language of psychology and probability, its power undiminished. The hunger for immortality, The longing for forbidden knowledge remains as strong as ever. The Codex Gigas is a mirror, reflecting not just the fears of the past, but the anxieties of the present, a testament to the enduring power of the unknown dot, the flickering blue light of the modern world. The legend of the cursed book has not faded. It has only changed its mask. The Codex Gigas, once locked away in the shadows of monasteries and royal libraries, now haunts the screens and pages of a restless age. The hunger for forbidden knowledge, for immortality, for the power to defy death, has not diminished. If anything, it has grown more urgent, more insatiable, as the old certainties crumble and the boundaries between reality and myth blur dot in the world of cinema. The image of the forbidden book has become a symbol of ultimate temptation and doom. Films like The Ninth Gate, inspired by the works of Arturo Pérez Reverte, echo the journey of the Codex Gigas, a rare book said to summon the devil, pursued by those willing to risk everything for its secrets. The protagonist's descent into obsession mirrors the fate of those who sought the Codex. The closer he comes to the truth, the more he is consumed by it. The book is no longer just a relic. It is a living force, a character in its own right, shaping the destinies of those who seek it dot in literature. The motif of the cursed or forbidden book has flourished. H.P. Lovecraft's Necronomicon, though a work of fiction, draws directly from the real fears that surrounded texts like the Codex Gigas. Lovecraft understood that the true horror lies not in monsters, but in knowledge that shatters the mind, in words that open doors best left closed. The Necronomicon, like the Codex, is a book that promises power but delivers only madness and ruin. Its influence can be seen in countless novels, from Umberto Eco's The Name of the Rose, where a poisoned book brings death to all who read it, to the dark libraries of Stephen King, where knowledge is always a double-edged sword. Even in the world of video games, the shadow of the Codex Gigas lingers. In titles like the Elder Scrolls series, players encounter ancient tomes that grant forbidden power at a terrible cost. The act of reading becomes a gamble, a test of will and courage. The digital age has not banished the fear of the cursed book. It has only given it new forms, new ways to haunt the imagination. Television, too, has embraced the myth. In shows like Supernatural and The Librarians, ancient books are portals to other worlds, keys to powers that should not be wielded. The Codex Gigas itself has appeared in documentaries and dramas, its legend retold for new generations. The image of the devil's portrait, staring out from the heart of a holy text, remains as unsettling as ever a reminder that some mysteries are never truly solved. But perhaps the most profound reinvention of the cursed book is found not in fiction, but in the anxieties of the modern mind. In an age of information, where every secret seems only a click away, the fear of forbidden knowledge has taken on new forms. The internet is a vast digital grimoire filled with truths and lies, wisdom and poison. The hunger for immortality has become the quest for digital legacy, for a self that will outlast the body. The old questions remain. What are we willing to risk for knowledge? What price will we pay to escape oblivion? A Codex Gigas in this new world is both a relic and a prophecy. Its story is retold in every warning about the dangers of unchecked curiosity, in every tale of obsession and downfall. The curse is no longer supernatural, but psychological, existential. The book is a mirror, reflecting the fears and desires of each new age. Yet for all the reinventions, the core of the legend endures. The Forbidden Book is a symbol of the human condition, a reminder that our greatest strength is also our greatest weakness. We are creatures of longing, forever reaching, beyond our grasp, forever haunted by the shadow of what we cannot know. The Codex Gigas, whether locked in a library or flickering on a screen, is a testament to the enduring power of myth, the eternal dance between knowledge and fear. In the end, the modern world has not escaped the curse of the Codex Gigas. It has only given it new names, new faces, new stories. The hunger for immortality, the longing for forbidden knowledge, remains as strong as ever. The book endures, its pages heavy with the weight of centuries, its secrets still whispering in the darkness. And so, the legend lives on, not just in the past, but in the present, in every story we tell, in every question we dare to ask. The Codex Gigas is not just a book. It is a shadow, a hunger, a warning. It is the story of us all. Beneath the surface of parchment and ink, the Codex Gigas is more than a relic. It is a map of the human soul. Its legend, woven from centuries of fear and fascination, is not just about a book, but about the mind that seeks it. A curse that clings to its pages is not merely a superstition, but a reflection of the shadows that dwell within us all. To long for forbidden knowledge is to stand at the edge of a precipice, peering into the abyss of the self. The Codex Gigas, with its promise of wisdom and immortality, is a mirror held up to our most secret desires. It asks, what would you risk to escape the limits of flesh and time? What would you sacrifice to know what others cannot? The book's legend is a parable of pride, a warning against the arrogance that believes itself above the laws of nature and fate. The portrait of the devil, so stark and solitary in the heart of the Codex, is not just a medieval flourish. It is a symbol of the inner adversary, the part of us that hungers for more, that whispers of shortcuts and bargains, that tempts us to reach beyond what is safe or wise. In every age, the devil is not only an external force, but an internal voice, a shadow that grows longer as the light of knowledge grows brighter. The curse of the Codex is the curse of unchecked ambition, of desire unmoored from humility. Psychologists have long understood that the fear of forbidden knowledge is a fear of the self, of what we might become if we abandon restraint. The myth of the cursed book is a story of boundaries, between the known and the unknown, the sacred and the profane, the mortal and the divine. To cross those boundaries is to risk dissolution, to lose oneself in the labyrinth of possibility. The Codex Gigas, with its blend of Holy Scripture and dark invocation, embodies this tension. It is both a Bible and a grimoire, a testament to the duality at the heart of the human mind. The longing for immortality, too, is a double-edged sword. On one side, it is the source of all art, all science, all progress, the refusal to accept. Oblivion, the drive to leave a mark on the world. On the other, it is the root of all tragedy, the cause of endless suffering and loss. To live forever is to become a stranger to time, to watch as everything familiar fades away. The Codex Gigas, in its enormity and endurance, is a symbol of this paradox, a book that survives while its creators and keepers are lost to history, a monument to the loneliness of eternity. The curse, then, is not a punishment from without, but a consequence from within. It is the price of seeking what should not be sought, of desiring what cannot be possessed. The disasters that follow the Codex Gigas are not the work of demons, but of human frailty, of the inability to bear them. weight of forbidden knowledge, of the madness that comes from gazing too long into the abyss. The book is a warning, a reminder that some doors, once opened, can never be closed. Yet there is another side to the legend, a glimmer of hope in the darkness. The Codex Gigas is also a testament to the power of creation, to the resilience of the human spirit. The monk who wrote it, whether driven by fear or faith, left behind a work of staggering beauty and complexity. The book endures not only as a curse, but as a triumph, a reminder that even in the face of death and despair, the act of creation is an act of defiance, a way to wrest meaning from the void dot in the end. The Codex Gigas is a story about the choices we make, the risks we take, the boundaries we cross in search of meaning. It is a story about the hunger that drives us, the fears that restrain us, and the wisdom that comes from knowing the difference. The curse of the book is the curse of being human, to long for more than we are given, to reach for the stars even. As we are bound to the earth, the legend endures because it speaks to something eternal in the human heart. The Codex Gigas is not just a book, but a question, a riddle posed to every generation. What will you do with the knowledge you possess? What price are you willing to pay for the secrets you seek? In the silence of the library, in the flicker of the screen, the question remains unanswered and unanswerable. And so, the Codex Gigas continues to haunt us not as a relic of the past, but as a living myth, a symbol of the eternal struggle between light and shadow, knowledge and fear, hope and despair. It is a story written not just in ink, but in the longing and terror of every soul that dares to dream of immortality. In the end, we return to the beginning, to the hunger that gnaws at the heart, the longing that shapes every story, every prayer, every desperate bargain with the darkness. The Codex Gigas, the Devil's Bible, is not just a book, but a mirror held up to the soul of humanity. Its legend is a question whispered through the centuries. What would you give to escape the grave? What would you risk for one more dawn, one more heartbeat, one more chance to outwit the slow, patient jaws of death? We have followed the Codex through the labyrinth of history, through the candlelit cells of medieval monks, the burning libraries of kings, the fevered dreams of emperors and exiles. We have seen how its shadow falls across every age, every culture, every mind that dares to seek what is forbidden. We have watched as reason tried to banish its curse, as science tried to explain it away, as art and story gave it new faces, new names, new forms. Yet the hunger endures. The book endures. The question endures. What is immortality, truly? Is it the endless extension of days, the cold comfort of survival at any cost? Or is it something deeper, a legacy, a memory, a story that outlives the body? The Codex Gigas, with its vast pages and haunted history, offers no easy answers. It is both a warning and a promise, a curse and a blessing, a monument to the paradox at the heart of the human condition. To seek immortality is to risk becoming a ghost in your own life, to watch as everything you love slips away, to become a prisoner of time and longing. Yet to refuse the quest is to accept oblivion, to surrender to the silence that waits at the end of all things. The Codex Gigas is a testament to the courage and the folly of those who refuse to be forgotten, who dare to write their names in the book of eternity, even if the ink is mixed with sorrow and regret. The curse is not in the book, but in the hunger that drives us to open it again and again, knowing the price and paying it all the same. Perhaps that is the true meaning of the legend, not a warning against knowledge, but a meditation on the cost of desire. The Codex Gigas is a relic of a world that understood the power of limits, the wisdom of boundaries, the necessity of humility. It is a reminder that some doors are closed for a reason, that some secrets are too heavy for the soul to bear. Yet, it is also a celebration of the human spirit, the refusal to accept the darkness without a fight, the endless, restless search for meaning in a world of shadows. As we close the pages of this story, the questions remain. What will you do with the knowledge you possess? What price are you willing to pay for the secrets you seek? In the silence of the library, in the flicker of the screen, in the quiet, moments before sleep, the Codex Gigas waits a book that is also a mirror, a curse that is also a choice. We are all, in the end, readers of forbidden books, seekers of lost truths, dreamers of immortality. The Codex Gigas is not just a story from the past, but a living myth, a shadow that walks beside us, a question that will never be answered. It is the hunger that drives us, the fear that restrains us, the hope that redeems us. And so the legend endures. The book endures. The hunger endures. In the darkness, in the silence, in the spaces between hope and despair, the Codex Gigas waits, its pages heavy with the weight of centuries, its secrets whispering in the night. It is a story written not just in ink, but in longing, in fear, in the eternal dance between light and shadow. This is the story of the book that promised immortality and cursed its readers. It is a story about us all,